All right, guys, we are going to do a watercolor for this week. All right, so in our story, it took place in a meadow. So we are going to be doing a meadow in here. We're going to be doing the bottom half is going to be our green meadow, the top half is going to be our blue sky, and we are going to put a fence in. And then once the meadow dries on the bottom, we're gonna add some flowers in and stuff too, okay? So, before you get started, you need to make sure that you are in a place where you can have all these watercolors and not spill them or mess things up. Also, be very, very careful with all of your materials because I have no way of getting new stuff to you. So, if you mess up, you need to find a way to kind of fix it. So be very careful about that. Also, be careful with mixing your colors because if your colors get mixed, there's not a whole lot I can do about it right now, okay? And you need to make sure that you have water and make sure you clean your brush before you start because I'm pretty sure they're all cleaned, but it's always good practice to make sure. And then you need to make sure that you have all three of your colors set out. When you add water to it, make sure that you mix them really well because that pigment needs to be mixed through the water. I put quite a bit of pigment in each of those, so it's probably going to be pretty strong. So make sure that you mix it all in, and if you don't touch the bottom and get extra pigment because you don't want it to be really any darker than it is already going to be. All right, so the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with yellow. And you will see why in a minute. So we're going to do the bottom half of our page with yellow. So I went ahead and I cleaned my brush. I'm going to dry it off over here on the towel. And then I'm going to dip in and I'm going to get my yellow. And I'm going to start painting the bottom half of my paper with yellow. All right, now that I've got my yellow down, I am going to go ahead and wash my brush off so that I've got a clean brush. Notice we started with yellow because it's our lighter of the colors. So remember, we always want to start with our lighter color because it's way easier to mix your darker colors into your lighter color if you're not being super careful with that. So, all right, next thing we're going to do is grab some blue and we are going to start at the top of our page. And we are going to paint blue. And once we've got the entire top of the page blue, whew, I have a really light blue. I'm gonna have to add pigment next time. Once we have added our blue to the top of the page, we're gonna carry that blue all the way down into the yellow because our meadow is what color? Green, and blue and yellow are going to make green. Make sure that you've got your top blue done before you pull down into the yellow because as soon as you make green, there's no going back. So I'm going to start pulling this blue down into the yellow here. Be very careful that once you get into this green and you start making that green, that you're not putting your green brush back into your blue. So see how I'm going to wash my brush off first. I'm going to dry it and then I'm going to go back in and I'm going to get some more blue to finish pulling down into this green, okay? You can keep messing with this color down here until you're pretty happy with the way that it looks. All right? I'm going to have to go in one more time for blue. Ooh, I got too much. All right, so here's my yellow or my green down here. Notice how I'm painting side to side here, so I'm not going a bunch of weird directions. I'm keeping my brush strokes side to side, okay? All right, I'm pretty happy with the green that I have down here, so I'm gonna leave that now, and I'm happy with the blue that I've got up here. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add our fence post. Now, fence post would be brown, right? So we are going to have to mix all of our colors to make our brown. I am Gonna be very careful about this because you want to make sure that it's not bleeding all over the place. And notice how my page has gotten kind of, it's sort of doing this number. So you're gonna have to be really, really careful when you do this part. So we're gonna go in. I'm gonna start with red first. And I'm just gonna put this part of the brush into the red. Notice how it's nice and straight. I'm just gonna dip that part of the brush into the red. And then I'm gonna tap it on the side so I don't have a ton. And I am just going to draw 2 lines all the way across here with my red, okay? So there's my first line. And I'm gonna put my second line down here, I think, right at the edge there. You can already see I'm starting to make brown right there because I've got that green and that blue. All right, I am pretty happy with those 2 lines. So now, again, I'm just gonna keep using the tip of my brush. I'm not even gonna go in for any more red yet because I'm gonna see how much red I have left. Then I'm gonna start putting the posts on my fence. So there's 1 post, and I'm gonna put the next post here. And I'm going to put my next post here. Notice my brush is pretty dry when I'm doing this. I don't have a whole lot of paint on my brush right now. If I did, this would not be going so well. I'll put another post right here. And another post right here. And I guess I'll put 1 more there on the end. Okay, all right. Now my posts are still looking pretty red, so in this blue up here at the top, I think I'm going to add just a little bit of yellow. Again, I'm going to dry my brush off before I put it in the yellow, and then I'm just barely going to touch the edge of the brush into it, and I'm going to take some of the paint off of it. And then very carefully, I'm going to go back over this red with the yellow. And I'm kind of turning this very yellow, aren't I? I'll go back in with some blue in a second. Oh, I'm getting a pretty good brown here. All right, and just very carefully, I'm going to go over each of these. Okay, now I have a very yellow bent. I'm going to try with just a little bit. Actually, I think I'm going to go in with a little more red. Barely touch the tip of it in there. Bring some more red into it. See what we end up with here. It may be orange. We'll see. There we go. And then I'm going to grab just a little bit of blue and go 1 more time and see what we can make this post look like. All right, 1 more. I don't know. It's making it kind of, we'll see. All right, I'm gonna leave my fence alone. I'm pretty happy with the way it looks, so I don't want to keep messing with it. Okay, the bottom of our page is still pretty wet, so I don't want to mess with it quite yet. I am gonna pull some of this color a little bit though, because it's pooling in places. All right, I'm gonna give this a couple minutes to dry. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in and we're gonna add some red flowers in here. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and take my chances with some red and see what we end up with. So I'm gonna go over here and again with the, just kind of with the end of my brush. I don't wanna get a ton of red in here. I'm gonna grab some red and tap it on the sides, and I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna put myself some red flowers here and there throughout my meadow. Because you know, it's springtime, right? So we're gonna have some flowers throughout the meadow because it's springtime. I'm just kind of dotting them in the meadow here. Maybe there's a bigger clump of flowers right here. All the way through. Okay. Then, when I'm happy with my red, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna grab some blue and see if I add some more blue into this, if I can end up with some blue flowers and not green flowers. We'll see. I'm not sure if that's gonna work. We'll try it out though. Oh, it might. It may just end up turning into green, but I'm gonna end up with some blue flowers in here. So our meadow's kind of pretty. All right, so there's our meadow with the flowers in it. Now, I kind of want to put a sun in, and I didn't earlier, so you don't have to do this if you don't want to. If you're worried that it's going to mess up your watercolor, don't do that. But I'm going to take the end of a clean towel. I'm going to wet it just a little bit, and I'm going to see if I can get myself a bit of a white spot up here so that I can add my sun in. Again, don't do this if it's going to stress you out and you don't want to mess up your sun or your you don't want to mess up your beautiful sky up here, because honestly the sky is really nice. All right, a little bit more here. I'm really hoping this isn't going to turn green. All right, and then I'm just going to make sure my brush is cleaned off. I'm gonna grab some yellow. Hopefully we're gonna make a yellow sun that doesn't turn green. Yeah, all right, that looks okay. All right. I know that's gonna end up looking a little green, but that's okay. All right, friends, that is our watercolor for this week. We have a beautiful meadow and our pretty flowers down here in the bottom, and our fence, of course, that the inchworm and the grasshopper raced to, that the inchworm won on. And we ended up with the sun too. Sorry, I should have started with the sun, or left a spot for it anyway. All right, do not forget that you need to make sure you clean all of this up. So don't leave a mess wherever you were doing this. You need to make sure you clean it up. Leave your watercolor wherever it is to make sure that it dries nicely. And make sure you put the tops back on all of your paints nice and tightly so they don't get messed up. And make sure that your brush is nice and clean. You're gonna wanna run this under clean water in the faucet, because this water, as you can tell, has become actually a really pretty green color this time, but usually it's not as nice. All right, friends, that's our watercolor for this week.